Hey everyone, today Chris and I are going to be talking about angels and all things angels and healing and energy healing and clearing and manifestation, all of the good stuff. So, I guess I'll start with my experience of angels. So, I had already always read mm, all the things about angels. So, Doreen Virtue and had our angel cards, and you hear about angels. I think there was a book. There was a book about the afterlife I read about angels, like different things. They always fascinated me, but it wasn't until really my mom, no, it was my grandma was passing. I actually saw in my physical world like an angel. There was by her bedside. I just saw this angel, and it was huge. It was like like 8 feet tall, and the wingspan was really big. And I remember telling my grandma, I was like, there's the biggest angel by your bed. And she goes, good for him. And I was laughing. But when you learn about angels, I guess from regular places, uh, you think they're just going to be talking to you and and I said, well, what are you doing, Angel? And it just said waiting. And I was like, interesting. Like that's not a whole lot of words. Like I expected more of a conversation. Um, but when she ended up passing, like I actually saw her like raising up and going into this big portal. And it's interesting because there's a painting that I forget who did it. It was probably in the Sistine Chapel, but there was like people all around and like around this portal and just going up and up and up. And I heard her say, "Joanna, you're right. Like there are angels here, but they don't look like I thought they would look like. They just look like you and me."
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, "Whoa." And so it just made me think about like angels in a different way. Like we see them and we experience them, and sometimes we experience people in our lives as angels, right? And so what does it mean, and who are they? Who are these people? What's their deal? um and I used to think too, and the jury's still out, that there's like a race of beings that are like humanoid with wings. um, so we're just going to talk and riff about angels today and all of their many guises, and who they are and how they can help us, and how they can help us heal, and how they can help us manifest in the world. And are we angels? Are you an angel? Could be. So what's been your experience about angels, Chris?
So it's interesting growing up, obviously. I went through 8 years of Catholic schooling, so we read a lot about angels, learned a lot about angels. And it's fascinating because what I read and learned didn't really jive with me. It just didn't really click. And then I realized now, from such a young age, that I was always seeing angels. To me, they appeared in glittery masses, and I still have this glittery mass that appears to me quite frequently. And it kept coming, kept going, and throughout all my life, then in the 20s, I kept seeing it again and again, and then it became stronger and stronger for about the last 30 years of seeing this. And it was fascinating because I started reading then further about angels and working with angels and learning about the Akashic records, then really started learning about Metatron is, really what got me to jumping into angels and learning everything about angels and realizing how Metatron appears in this glittery mass. And it took me further to working in then with Metatron. He was really the first angel that I was turned on to, and understanding him being the scribe and keeping all the records and everything that was happening in life. And it was fascinating because to me, within my memory of understanding what's going on in life, what's happening, and then also within the intuition becoming stronger in the last 25 years or so, I really had this connection with Metatron. And it was always like I realized later it was like, wow, this person, this angel, has always been part of my life and has always come to me. And I tried to figure out why. And then as I started receiving, we'll talk a little bit later about this, how where do angels appear? How do they appear? For me, they started coming in numbers. And Joanna, you and I have talked a lot about numbers. And there's those great numbers that everybody keeps talking about today. Those 333s, the 1111 is such a popular one. Yes, those are synchronicity numbers, angels getting your attention, telling you to be aware of what's going on at the time. But then as we dove deeper into numbers, we learned a lot that every single number has meaning, and they're constantly communicating through different signs, numbers, songs, all different ways, through people, as you said. And, so it's been fascinating to me to see, whatever terminology I use, the terminology universe, but how universe and how angels communicate with me. To me, it's been an amazing blessing to have them in my life, to be working with them. I work a lot within healings with them, also within the Reiki work we're doing. We're doing angelic light weaves quite a bit too over here. But to me, it's just been a real blessing and it's been a great learning. I think too, looking at my life and my timeline, there is a part of my life that said I needed to learn to have faith in something bigger, higher, whatever you want to call it, the divine source.
Mhm.
And to me, the angels help me bring faith and understanding. And I will say, in my human existence, I still question it at times because
Right.
it's so hard to believe at times. Even though we've seen it, we've seen so many things happen. It's still like your human side just wants to wrestle with that energetic side, and it at times, I don't lose faith, but I do question things. But that's kind of part of who I am. I question everything, and some days I need to put my brain down and relax. So angels to me have just been an incredible blessing in working with them. And from Metatron, it just moved on through all the different archangels, angels, guides, ascended masters, all the different people to be working with. And I think it's beautiful to think that there are others out there that want to help you as much as Joanna, you and I want to help others out there too. And there's this other group of people that are just dedicated to helping people.
Right. And I've grappled with angels not having free will, like needing to in my mind, I was like, oh, well, they don't have free will, so how great is that? And so I stopped working with them for a while because I'm like, well, I don't want to force them to do stuff if they don't feel like it. But then I realized, like, what was there? So one day I realized that I was a cherubim because there somebody we had a conversation. Somebody came to my house in Chicago where like I was looking for roommates or whatever, and we started talking about the cherubim around the throne, and they're just all singing holy, 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 like that's their job, holy, holy, holy. And when I felt into it, I was like, yeah, I could spend existence doing that. That sounds amazing. That sounds great. And one of the reasons why was because I was like, there's no thinking about anything. Like you don't have to worry about bills or rent or like anything. Like you're just singing and you're just like joyful and you're singing and you're like in divine energy. And the more you sing, the more energy you receive and radiate. And so it's this is this constant feeling of bliss and love, and you're radiating it and you're singing it into existence, and it's coming back to you, and you're radiating it and it's coming back to you. And so I just thought, yeah, that's amazing. And so it was in that point that I was like, oh, like maybe free will is different. Like, okay, so angels don't feel like thinking or doing like random stuff. They have a specific purpose. And so if they're fulfilling that purpose, it's bringing them more joy, more divine love, more energy. And so they're radiating it and you're feeling it and radiating it back. And so in that mindset, I guess the angels the angels are getting more energy, they're feeling more love, they're feeling more accomplished because they're helping you and you're sending the energy back to them. And so it's a co-creation.
Right.
It's a co-creation, whereas in the mindset I thought, like is it a slavery, they don't like it, like blah, blah, blah. But I love helping people.
Right.
I love it. It makes me happy. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm like, it makes me so happy to help. And so maybe it makes them so happy to help, you know?
I think it's one and the same. I mean, it
Right.
really is. And, we talked about it a few minutes before this, really how you just said it, getting that one skill, that one trait that you are just amazing at in learning it. And to me, as we talk about soul mission, life purpose, different things like that, I think that's a lot of what of us, what we're doing down here is learning that part of that soul mission, that life purpose. If it is just bringing joy to others, love to others, healing, whatever it may be. And I'm always mesmerized on how much joy it brings me.
Hmm.
And just to see, I grow when other people grow,
Right.
and vice versa. I grow and then other people grow. And it's exactly what you're saying. To me, they're just in a whole other dimension, a whole other place doing this. So it could just say as easily they're doing it from up above. But, the way that I look at it is there is so much joy. The one thing I enjoy, more joy, enjoy about the angels is their unconditional love.
Right.
Yesterday being Mother's Day, we always talk about mothers and unconditional love. To me, it's fascinating because angels, when I think of the word unconditional love, that is what comes to me every single time,
Mm.
is they just have so much love. And I think some of it too, when you look at it, is that they have so much passion for helping people.
Mm.
And I think about us down here on Earth, really, how many of us are sent here just to do that work, but to
Right.
do it in the human present sense? And we're here to help others. We're here to help healing. We're here to help growth. We're here to bring abundance. When we think of abundance, the more we have, the more we share.
Right.
Sadly, yes, that saying has been lost in today's world, but I think with a lot of us energy workers that we still feel it, we believe it. If we have money, we have energy, we have love, we have joy. The more we have, the more we share. And to me, it's this cup of coffee that just keeps getting refilled over and over and over and over again. And it's such a beautiful experience to know that that can just go back and forth of the sharing. I love the term abundance as an overall. Many people think of abundance just as money. To me, abundance is so much more than money. And if you want to get to that money, by the way, you got to start smaller and start thinking about love, happiness, healing. And to me, I see so many of us on earth doing the work that the angels are doing up above or in other dimensions, and that they're working with us. And to me, they're teaching us, they're guiding us. And one day we could be one of those angels too. That's
Yeah.
my belief.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we are that now. And we're learning more. Like I think there's no end to the learning. There's no
Right.
end to the learning. And I'm sure the angels are learning
Right.
even still. You know what I mean? And I feel like I read somewhere like we it could be that it's us. Like the angels that we're working with are us in the future.
Right.
That know everything. And there was, I know in my healing journey, learning, somebody, there's something called recapitulation where you go back in time and then you like release the energy of every single moment of your life that you can think of to just release the energy. And sometimes I would go back through time and think about times when I felt alone, times when I felt sad, when I was very little. And I would send that part of myself energy and I would surround her in love and I would give her hugs and I would just let her know that everything is okay and that she was going to be fine and that I was with her. Right. And like later, and I didn't think about it at the time, but later I thought, oh, um, I thought that was an angel, but maybe it was just me. Maybe it was
Right.
just me sending myself love back through time. And then I get pedantic about it and think, oh my God, like I should do that for every single instance of my life where I felt alone or sad or scared or, whatever, is send myself that energy and surround myself with that love. Um, just retroactively healing my younger self. And we can send like into the future self as well. Like we can
Right.
like
Hmm.
project love into the future. What do they call that? Paving the way
Hmm.
for greatness or something.
That should be easy. Write that one down.
Right.
But it is amazing. I mean, what you're saying, how you can do that in all different aspects and parts of life. And to me, that's just part of the healing journey.
Right.
And did we learn that through angels? Did we learn through the guides, the archangels? Who do we learn that from? And then you talked about, to me, is that naturally just within us? But we
Hmm.
had to go in, heal to truly discover, and we had to find that place within ourselves to learn how to do it. It was always there. Might have been under about a million scars, wounds, tears, openings. Who knows what it was under, but it was there. And I think that's just it. I think a lot of us, we talked about in our last meeting between you and I, that we all have so many gifts and talents and skills. And to me, that's what I love about the angels. To me, they help me a lot understand those gifts, talents, and skills. And they help me get to that point. And it happens within meditation, it happens within quiet studies of prayer, different things like that. And I'm always mesmerized, like even within the numbers when they start talking about it. Realize your skills, take action on your skills. I get a lot of numbers that talks about healing this planet, and there's so many that need your skills out there. And to me, that's what you've been talking about this whole time, is talking about our skills, but talking about the angelic skills. And to me, they're working together. And I really believe, this earth needs to go back through a healing process. Humanity needs to go back through a healing process. And I have a strong belief, that's one of the reasons I'm here, is to help with that healing process, to look at humanity along with many other energy workers, light seeds, whatever terminology you use, rainbow children that are out there that are here to look at how we heal humanity. And to me, I've always believed in world peace since I was a young kid. It started in eighth grade when I started marching for peace across the United States. And that feeling of peace came during that period of time. And to me, it's always been through my life in different ways, even if I pushed and rebelled against it in
Hmm.
my teenage years. But it's always been that bigger dream of peace. First it was global nuclear disarmament. I thought it was the coolest big word out there. But then it became more simplistic as you and I have laughed and talked about soul missions and journeys here on earth, that was like, let's make it more simplistic. And peace is like the one term that has always come to me. And it's one of the things that I pray for constantly, is peace here on earth. And I believe we can do it, but it's going to take a lot of angels, a lot of light workers, a lot of us energy people to help make these happen. And I believe, same thing with an abundance too. There's more than enough for all of us on this earth.
Right. And I think what I've been thinking about lately is um, our tendency to look for what's wrong instead of what's right. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that the society that we have right now has a tendency to like push what's wrong, and it pushes what's wrong so very much that everyone's getting anxious and depressed and
But
and forgetting that this place can be heaven on earth if we look for what's right. I think it was Mr. Rogers, right? He said he was talking about how his mom used to tell him during disasters, and when everything's going wrong, look for the helpers. There's always helpers in the crowd that are helping. Look for the helpers, like focus on the helpers. And it's so important because we can get into such a downward spiral of seeing what's wrong, and I don't like this and I don't like that, and oh, I don't like this was going on. But if we start focusing on, even if it's the littlest thing, like, oh, I like that it's there's sunshine out even though there's clouds out in the sky, or um wow, I can take a really deep breath, or I'm able to like walk without pain today, or just there's a flower happening. There's so many beautiful, wonderful things in the world that we could be focusing on, but sometimes we tend to focus on what we don't want, and we
mm-hmm.
create more of that. So it's um the more we focus on what we want, and I keep coming back to that. I think we talked about that last time, but the
Right.
but it's true, right? It's like the
Yes.
more, and it's a resonance, right? So people talk about, as I've studied angels, um, the theory of some people is that angels are frequencies. They're frequencies within time and space. And so energy and frequency, if it's slowed down enough, becomes matter.
Mm.
And so the angels are running at such a high frequency. When they send us their even lower frequency energy, we're like,
Right.
wow, this is the most highest frequency ever.
It,
And then when we send energy like that is too much for us, like energetically heavy for us, and we send it into the earth, the rocks are like, wow, this is like angelic frequencies, this is like the highest frequency ever.
right.
um because it's a lower, like, lower frequency, and I'm sure it goes up and up and up and up, right? Angels are getting their frequencies from other higher frequencies as well. But in order to get to that higher frequency, in order to feel or bring our resonance up, our frequency up, we've got to focus on what we want to create and that higher energy. Even if we haven't experienced it yet, we can set the intention and we can reach for it, and then we'll slowly vibrate up. And I know that's I think it's scary for some people because they've never experienced a higher frequency.
Right.
But once we do the meditation and we get used to um, creating a higher frequency and a higher frequency, I think that helps. Like, we have to prepare ourselves. And I know that you, over at your house, you guys do a lot of meditation. How do you prepare yourself to feel a higher and higher frequencies?
So it's interesting. It's every night. I have been for 10 years now sleeping to frequency music. It's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting because to me, what the mind and the body craves, that's what I call it within frequencies and looking at it. I started off in the 400 world and in the 400 realm of frequencies. And within that, it was a need for a healing process, 400s, 500s, 700s. And it was funny in the last few years. I was like, well, what if you go into the God realm, into the frequencies of the 900s? Is it possible to sleep in those frequencies because they're so high and so strong and powerful? For 2 years now, it started off with me and then my significant other. We have both been sleeping with 900 plus frequencies. And it's funny because we crave that, we want it. But
Mm-hmm.
it took a lot to get there. And back to your initial question is it took a lot to get there through meditation and through healing. And it's funny because if we go back into the 400s and 500s, it feels good. Like you said, we'll go back there, but it's too slow.
Right.
It's such a word. It's too slow. It's too low, whatever you want to call it. But, to prep for that, it took a lot of work in meditation, a lot of work with healing exercises. We both practice Reiki. We also do Reiki on others, so in healing, but it took a lot to get there.
Right.
And it's a lot of questions. I remember for almost, well over a year and a half staring at those numbers going, can you sleep at over 900 frequencies? No, 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 don't try it. Don't try it. You're never going to go to bed if you try that.
Uh,
And it was funny. It was just one day, but it was after so much meditation. And, to go to that, to us, I said it last time, I'll say it again. Here's another pitch for Joanna, one of the best chakra cleanses out there. It's your work with the chakras and the work that you have done, I believe, that has taught so many. And getting in there, clearing out, and working within there, finding that beautiful rotation, that beautiful frequency where it's just perfectly moving and dialed in. Then I realized once those chakras are firing like they should be, your body can take on whatever they want. Your body is meant to take on high frequencies. It is meant to vibrate at such a high rate, and we are meant to. But it does take a little bit of work to get there. And I think a lot of it is clearing out the mind and the consciousness of what you believe. And it's really funny too, like within my numbers, I was getting them earlier today, and I've been getting them all this week. And there's this one that constantly comes, stay optimistic, stay positive. But it keeps telling me to dream the biggest dream. I think many times in my life I've taken for what I believed I can do.
Hmm.
Now numbers are flying at me constantly. Literally almost every 3 minutes, numbers are coming for the last 2 weeks. And it's constantly telling me, dream a bigger dream.
Hmm.
Dream something so big that it feels impossible.
Right.
And that's where I'm at. So I'm still at this frequency level that's here, but I need to be here. I'm there and I'm getting there, but there's still some obstacles and barriers in this human life that are holding me back. And that's where I look to the angels. What's holding me back? What do I need to do? This is where we go. We go in and meditate. You know, Same with your question a minute ago. We meditate constantly and ask questions. And
Hmm.
I don't get answers in meditation. My significant other, she gets all this amazing answers. I crack up. She comes out of it and she is like an encyclopedia that opens up with every answer. Me, because I think it's important, everybody gets answers in different ways.
Right.
Me, I have to go out and experience life. And then I see answers. I flip on the radio and I'm like, what the heck were they just singing about? And it's amazing, all the different angels that work. There's angels that work with music, and it's funny how they will all of a sudden just put a song right there, and you're like, how is this song answering everything that I wanted to know in my meditation? I could even be at stores and people, I realize universe or angels start speaking through people, and I'm like blown away. Um, and it's really funny because there's so many kind of cryptic messages that are out there and signs that are out there and signposts that are also you're in the middle of the road not knowing where to go, in the middle of the road of your journey of spirituality. And it's
Hmm.
amazing how it will just appear to you. And so I think that shit is being open to the signs, being open to meditation, working on healing, playing around with frequencies. I really highly recommend them. We have so many people now sleeping with frequency music in the background, especially for us people with ADHD. It really
Hmm.
helps quiet the brain. That's a little off track, but I'm going to thank the angels because they're the ones that turned me on to the frequency music and numbers and everything else that got me into frequencies. And with ADHD, it turned off my brain. I used to take me 3, 4 hours to get to sleep. I can get to sleep in about 10 minutes, which is huge for me. It's taken about 48 years to do that. But, it's interesting all the stuff that you do learn through angels and how it comes together. So I think just be aware. And if you ask a question, don't worry if the answer doesn't come that minute during the meditation. Might not come that day, even. Might come a
Hmm.
few days later, but really be open to everything, realizing it come through numbers, songs, scents, they're everywhere. And then it's funny. I mean, we've gone with scents and literally said, let's go cook that right now. And the
Right.
best meal came out of it because something higher was telling us to eat this. And it was what our body was craving. We realized that's that way we're smelling it. So I think just being open, being aware, being receptive, willing to experiment a little, have some fun with this. I think spirituality is not meant to be crazy, by the way, and scary. It's meant to be fun, and we keep forgetting about that. So have fun with it and enjoy it. Try
Right.
everything once or twice if you like it.
Right. Yeah. I remember when I first started learning about healing, I thought, oh, you know, like I was so focused and like serious, and somebody said, yeah, like how angels can fly because they take themselves so lightly. Like it's
Oh, that's
enlightenment.
perfect.
It's not endarkment. It's not in heavyment. It's enlightenment. Like lighten up, dude. And so yeah, we try and laugh a lot around here, because it can be like life can be so serious and like, but I don't think we're meant for that here. You know what I mean? I think it is meant to be fun and a play. Like this was meant to play. Like we came here to play,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, sometimes we take it too seriously.
I started
you
like
know?
I think 30 years, yeah, almost 30 years ago. I was hanging out with a friend. We are having a late night adventure, and we
Mhm.
really just realized that you know out there's a playground.
Yeah.
And you think about your favorite things, like I love the slide that went down and around in circles. It's
Hmm.
one of my favorite things just because you fly down and around in circles. And I thought about how much fun it was going there. And I anticipated going to that slide and having fun on that slide. And then I always love when they build something new at the playground. It was a new big giant toy to play with. But it really is. And to me, that's like what the angelic world reminds me of is this big giant playground. And more and more, you said it last time, you said it again this time. You said heaven on earth.
Hmm.
I look a lot of times and I go, okay, if you were sent here as an angel to this earth, is that part of your job is to create heaven on earth or whatever you entitle it as playground on earth, whatever you want to call it? Is
Mhm.
that part of your job in helping people? Because, we take it so seriously. I'm here to help people become enlightened. That's a lot of words, a lot of syllables. Or am I here just to have some fun, have a great time, live abundantly, share abundance, share love, share joy, help people heal, and help people recognize that it's really an amazing life that we're living? I'm like, that sounds a lot more fun than enlightenment. Too many syllables.
Right? What is it? Bill calls it the fun bus.
I love it. It's
Just
perfect. It's so much easier. It's not as scary and intimidating.
right? Yeah. And I mean, the world can be whatever we want it to be.
Right.
So let's want it to be fun and good and abundant. And I got a message from somebody today just saying, oh, like I wish all my, dreams would come true and all this stuff. And I said, uh let's just dissolve all of the barriers that you have to receiving it, because we have the capacity to be able, the universe just wants to give to us, the trees have fruits they want us to have, and the world around us just wants to give us love and constantly give us. The world is so absolutely abundant, like waterfalls of abundance. And
Right.
it's only us that stop ourselves from receiving all of the abundance. And so, if we can open up, if we can feel safe enough to open to all the abundance around us, um, it, I, we could realize that this is heaven on earth. But I
Hmm.
think, I don't know, the world, for whatever reason, the world is set up right now to distract us from looking at nature, from looking at the abundance that is all around, for realizing that we are here to experience beauty and love and fun and play, all of those things. And so we have to look away. We have to look away. And people will say, "Oh, spiritual bypassing, blah blah." I I don't think so. I think it's creating our reality. Like we can focus on whatever we want. We are so very powerful. And being so very powerful, we have to create. We have to create and think about and focus on what we want to create in this world. And if that is beauty and love and fun and opening ourselves up to all the money and love and prosperity, then that's what we need to focus on. Because when we
Right.
focus on the lack of whatever that is, we are such powerful creators. We can create it. We can
Hmm.
create that. And so that's why, um, when people are watching TV and they're watching the news and all of those uh, programs that are programming us with negativity and lack, um, uh, we're powerful creators. We create that in the world, you know?
Hmm. I agree.
So, yeah. Hmm?
I agree. I mean, it's amazing within creation. It's funny. A lot of numbers lately, lack and loss. Because
Hmm.
I think it was funny. I was wondering. I'm like, why do I keep getting this number on lack and loss? And it's funny because, like you just said, to me, it's in tuned. It's programmed into you, lack and loss, and it's
Hmm.
not by society. By the way, society, by media, by all these different things that are out there. It's funny how that's programmed into us, and then a lack of belief that we can live abundantly in whatever shape or form we want. And I think it's fascinating how that is pushed by media and pushed by humans out here and everything else that's going on out here. And to me, I look to like Ariel, I work with a lot. I love Ariel because Ariel is one angel that appears in male and female form. I always think that's beautiful in its own way. But Ariel, I work with a lot with abundance and, constantly working within that. I actually love using your chakra work and then pairing it up with that. And I actually, a lot of times going to my root chakra now, working with abundance, because that's where within the grounding that I find some blockages within mine and need to work in that. So get into there And then realizing once I get into that root chakra, literally running that light of Ariel throughout my whole entire body. At the end of Joanna's cleanse, it talks about running that energy. So I literally imagine, picture, and see Ariel right there in front of me, running through my whole body, clearing out, running that energy through the blood, through the veins, through everything. And to me, what I love about that as an ending to your chakra cleanse is it's just opening up to the abundance, and to me, that's where I feel a great chakra cleanse brings me to is literally, I jokingly say, scrape me off the ceiling. It feels so darn good. It really is where it's at. Before I forget, because it finally jumped back to me, it was Sandalphon is the one
Hmm.
that he's the angel that will work with music quite a bit. So if you're working, you hear a message through music, feel free to call in Sandalphon. That's one of the angels that works constantly with music. Always I just loved his name. I thought it was beautiful too. But it was funny because I never knew who it was, and I was doing a meditation one night, and oh, it was from our friend. The meditation you were doing the other day too. The meditation both you and I were both doing.
Oh,
The
right. Yeah, yeah.
frequency one. And doing that meditation, it was funny because it was actually Sandalphon that's called upon in that meditation with Metatron, and the two of them. And it was funny because first time I ever did this, that name just kept ringing to me, ringing to me, ringing to me. And all of a sudden, we were sitting there, we were out seeing a show one night, and we literally heard this band start. We felt like they were there just to sing to us, the two of us.
Oh.
We're just like, wow, wow. And my significant other and I just looked at each other and we're like, Sandaphon. We're like, we get it. We've been waiting to figure out who this is that's speaking and creating with us and telling us things. And we used to keep literally, and it was really helpful if you ever do this, keep ongoing diaries of songs, and we would literally sit on our phones and type in every single song that spoke to us. So we'd go back and reread all the words. What was amazing throughout a day, it literally wrote out a whole story
Oh.
from song to song to song to song. I mean, there were some days we'd be sending songs back and forth to each other where it was like 10 to 15 songs. And we were like, let's sit down and read these to each other.
Mhm.
We're like, oh my God, it's literally one chapter after next chapter after next chapter after next chapter. Look at the way the messages are going. Okay, what happened at this point in the day? Okay, we had a changing point. All right, well, why did that song come within here? What is
Mhm.
it telling us? So it's really fascinating to me. I mean, I'm a huge lover of music. I've worked as a musician. So I'm not surprised angels appear to me in music format and through song, but I mean, I think we've always heard it. Oh my God, that song meant so much to me when I heard it. Well, what did it really mean to you besides what you maybe thought it meant? So look
Right.
deeper into things, have fun with it. But yeah, Sandaphon, I had to go back. I'm like, I finally thought about it as you were talking.
I love it. Yeah. My mom and I, when I was very young, like before we had computers or anything like that, if you got a record that didn't have the lyrics in it, you had to sit there and write them out by hand. And so when I was like 4, I remember 5, like just listening to songs and like we're figuring out the words
Right.
to the different things. But when she passed, she would send songs to me. She would send songs to me. And what's really one of the funnier ones was Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. And I was like, oh, come on.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the words are Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. Right. And so I was so sad, but she's like, no, I'm still here. Like I'm everywhere. Like I can like do this and that. And the other song was um from the Greatest American Hero theme song.
Hmm.
So it was I what was it?
You know, it's really funny. You and I used to sing this to each other a long time, a while
Really?
ago. And
Huh.
I can't even think of the darn words right now, but I'm laughing, going, I remember you and I so many times singing this song back and forth, and now it's going to drive me insane because I can't remember it.
You know what's funny? Like my teacher Tino Thunder Eagle used to say, songs come to you when it's time, and
Right.
they allow you to sing them or allow you access to them, and then when it's not time, they're just you can't even think of it.
Right.
So it's like so songs, we don't always sing songs. Sings Sometimes the songs sing us. they sing through us, just like
Mhm.
the angels. So the angels are singing their energy through us, and these songs are singing through us. It's like we are the intermediaries between the divine and the earth. And so
Right.
it's like we're radios or
Mhm.
TVs or whatever. We're just these divine radios
Right.
this channel.
Well, it makes sense because in music terminology, used to always say, everybody like, "Oh my God, that show is amazing! You guys played last night," and we'd always smile and say, "Yeah, the music played the band."
Right.
Yeah, the band didn't play any of that music. The music played the band. That had nothing to do with any of us on stage. And they just stare at us. And I was like, no, literally, the music played the band. And it's exactly what you're saying, just in different terms. But those were, if you look at it, the most abundant, angelic nights of music, where it was like, I couldn't remember what song we played, how we played it. Did someone's like, oh my gosh, you did that so different than you ever done it. And I'm like, I don't even remember. And
Right.
I was always happy because people record our music so I could actually go back and listen to it because there was so many of those shows that were literally just bliss. And like, I don't remember what we played, but yeah, the music played the band that night.
Yeah.
and we just giggled constantly about that we don't remember anything, but it all happened. And I guess it was magical for people and it was great.
And that's how you know that you just opened yourself and allowed things to flow through, and yeah, it goes back to like we're these divine channels, and the more we can open to receive it, the more it can run through us and shine its way into the world. So I guess, yeah, like the more we can get ourselves out of the way, the more we can run divine energy into the world, so that um I don't know. I guess we're the middleman.
It
What is
really is. That's a great definition. It is the middleman. It's I always constantly keep hearing get out of the way of yourself. Someone said that the one day and it was funny because I was like, great, this is a while ago. I don't know how long, a while ago. Someone's like, yeah, you just need to get out of the way of yourself. And I'm like, oh, oh my Lord. And that stuck with me forever. Then it turned into just let go.
yeah,
Just let go and let things happen for you. Quit trying to make things happen in certain ways and let it happen. And that's, I guess, where the trust of the angels came in. It was just like, there's something else out there helping me, something making waves, breaking through things. When I want something, I realize I got to just relax and let go and let things happen for me. But to believe, and not just believe in angels, but to believe in myself. And I think
right,
that's one of the greatest things I've learned is that belief in self, belief in skills and ability and what you can do. And it seems like times we're getting off on subject, but we're not. It's all really tied back into this conversation with angels and how it all works together. And like a lot of these have just been messages you and I have heard
right.
throughout time, whatever they may be. And to me, it's amazing. I just giggle when I hear these messages. I think it's like the coolest thing. I mean, we're going to do another episode one day on synchronicity, but realizing the amount of synchronicity out there to me, when I see all this synchronicity happening, it's like almost this orchestra of angels. And there's one angel in front just literally directing the music, and it's synchronicity flying, and they're just sending these synchronized messages, numbers, all these things everywhere, everywhere. And it's like, I am amazed, like when such great, bizarre things happen. Like it's so funny that you said Mr. Rogers. Do you know I was literally just listening to Mr. Rogers talking about,
Right.
and I'm laughing, going, "What are we supposed to learn about Fred today? What is Fred teaching us?" But that's what made me giggle so much because you're like Mr. Rogers was like, I was just listening to Mr. Rogers before we started this today.
Dude, but that's nothing new. Like we're
No,
always
always happening. It's absolutely amazing the amount of synchronicity. I had a friend, he has a 500 disc changer.
Mm.
And we'd be talking about a certain band or a certain song.
Oh yeah.
Next day, we'd be like, I put the thing on random. So 500 discs, 20 songs per disc, a lot of music. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, a lot of music. That song would always come on the next day. And he'd be like,
Yep.
how does that work? I'm like, synchronicity. But that kind of stuff is happening everywhere if you just pay attention and ground yourself within and see it.
Right. And that's the whole thing. And that it comes back to your thoughts are creating your reality, literally.
Right.
Literally.
Mhm.
Like this is not a metaphor.
No.
Your thoughts are literally creating real. And so when we're in that frequency, of course all those things come in. And of course it is. And I we were and this is probably for another show, but we were talking about telepathy and everyone within the next 20 years, I think we're going towards everyone is going to be able to be telepathic with one another because we already are. Um, but it's the veils are slowly dropping between us, and we're going to just be able to do that. And so getting clear with your mind. I know
Well,
it's scary for a lot of people. They're like, oh, people are gonna know all my thoughts, but people already know all your
yeah,
thoughts.
you could. There's people that are gifted. I mean, having a behavioral background, it's very easy to read people. I mean, studying autism for such a long period of time, I always say neurotypicals, people without autism, are so very easy to read. And it's really funny because, looking at that, it's like when you're talking about being telepathic, it's to me, it starts off with intuition,
Right.
the ability to increase your intuition. I think too, the one thing we haven't asked or talked about is asking the angels. My biggest thing was intuition. I really wanted to get into those records, those Akashic records, to learn more about it, to learn more about my life. I asked when I went in, I'm going in, one, to help myself grow, learn, and heal. And then two, I want to help others grow, learn, and heal. And
Right.
that's my reason for going in there. And it was funny because the first thing I asked for was increasing my intuition.
Mm,
It's funny because I think people think you're going to be like, all of a sudden I can read everything. I'm Captain Intuitive. But, it's not. You got to focus on the little things that you can find and the little things that you see. And all of a sudden it's interesting how it grows bigger and bigger. Where one day you're walking down the street and you see 3 blocks down and you're like, I need to cross the street right now. And then we get 3 blocks down and there's my answer why I needed to cross that street. And
right.
there was something telling me that. But looking at intuition, looking at being telepathic, all these different things, it's like anything else. It's like juggling. Start with one ball. Take your
Right.
time. Ask for help. That's the greatest thing about the angels is to ask for help, realizing there is, if you don't want to use the terminology angels, if this is too deep for you today, realizing there's energy that is out there to help you. Call it
Right.
whatever you want. If it's science, if it's angels, if it's going really strict religious parts of it, whatever terminology you realize, but you could make it very as basic as saying there's energy out there to help you. And that energy is reflecting back and forth and co-creating, as Joanna said earlier. So I always want to make sure that some people, I think, when they hear angels, they only think religion and
Right.
not realizing that now we're speaking pure energy today,
Yeah,
along with many other things.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yay. Well, I can't believe an hour's up already.
It was
It's
quick.
right. It's so fun. We have so much fun with these conversations. So yeah, maybe next week we'll talk about synchronicities. That sounds really fun.
We
Because
need to talk more about that because there's so many answers out there. I mean, pay attention. That's where all your answers are waiting for you.
right, and
It's
more
take
questions.
it slow. Yeah, keep and I think that's the other thing to end with. Ask a lot of questions. I love wandering around asking questions all day.
Right.
Um, it was fun when I lived by myself. I could just ask questions all day and nobody thought I was nuts. Well, then I found someone else to live with me that likes to ask a lot of questions. So, so we literally walk around all day asking questions, but don't be afraid. Be open to ask and be open to receive. I think that's the biggest thing I'd love to leave this with is be open to receiving. You are worthy, you are willing, and you are now open to receive. It's done. And just be open to receiving these messages and this work because you deserve it. So,
You are
thanks,
safe
Joanna.
and you are loved, and it's okay.
Yeah, I love that one. My favorite. Loved. So,
Well, we love you guys. We love you guys so
yeah, thank
much.
you. It's
And
always fun.
yeah, and if you want to get in touch with us, down in the show notes, we've got all of our info. So feel free to reach out or leave comments in the comment section. We would love to answer your questions, and we will see you next week. We love you so much. Have a
Take care,
good night.
everybody.